Assembling the Rec Room Master's sit-down cabinet. Shown here are all of the parts and tools required for assembly. Step 1. Lay the right side of the base of the cabinet on a soft surface. Insert the wood dowel pins into any holes that are not through holes. When done, there will be a total of 8 dowels installed. Notice that 2 of the dowels are on the top edge of the panel. Quick tip: when inserting the metal cross dowels in the rest of the video, make sure that the slot is facing upwards. The slot must also be aligned with the holes on the side of the panel. If needed, you can adjust the position of the cross dowel with a flathead screwdriver so that it is perfectly aligned with the hole. Next, install 2 cross dowels into the side panel as shown here. After that, insert 6 cross dowels into panel B5 as shown here. You can now insert panel B5 onto the side panel. Notice that the side panel is edged with the corresponding number on each cross panel. It is very important that the side of the B5 panel with 3 holes faces the front of the cab as shown here. These extra holes will be used to mount the cabinet doors. Next, insert 2 cross dowels into the holes on panel T1 and insert it into the corresponding pin on the side panel. You can now insert 2 cross dowels into panel B1 and insert it into the corresponding pin on the side panel. Notice that the cross dowel faces towards the edge of the side panel. In this step, we will be installing 2 door latches on panel B2. First, lay the panel with the edged panel number towards the floor. Next, screw both latches into the pre-drilled pilot holes. Notice the orientation of each latch. The rolling wheel on the right latch faces the right edge of the panel, and the rolling wheel on the left latch faces the left edge of the panel. Using the 4 provided screws, secure the latches in place. Quick tip: the latches have some room for adjustment front to back. If after the doors are installed, you find that they are not closing properly, feel free to adjust the position of the latches until they work as desired. You can now insert panel B2 onto the side panel. Face the side with the edge number towards the top of the side panel and face the edge of the panel closest to the latches towards the back of the side panel, as shown here. For this next step, install 8 wood dowel pins into the left side panel as shown here. Notice that 2 of the dowels are on the top edge of the panel. Next, install 2 cross dowels into the side panel as shown here. After that, place the left side panel over the top, look underneath, and align the pins on the side panel with the holes on the cross panels until all the pins are in the correct holes. You can now secure the left panel using 5 60mm bolts as shown here. Do not over tighten the bolts. For this step, rotate the base of the cabinet 90 degrees to its upright position. It is very important to keep pressure on the unbolted side as there are no bolts securing it in place. Insert an additional 5 60mm bolts on the right side of the cabinet. Once again, do not over tighten. For this step, we will install panel B4. First, insert 4 cross dowels into each of the holes as shown here. Then, face the edged side towards the inside of the cab and secure the panel in place using 2 60mm bolts on each side. We will now repeat the same steps with panel B3. Again, insert 4 cross dowels into the holes and secure the panel to the cab using 2 60mm bolts on each side. For this next step, lay the right side of the cabinet on a soft surface. Then, insert wood dowels into any holes that are not through holes. Also, insert a cross dowel as shown here. When done, there will be a total of 7 wood dowels and 1 metal cross dowel as shown here. Next, install panel T2 into the corresponding pins on the side panel. Then, face the edge number on panel T3 towards the inside of the panel and install it into the pins shown here. After that, face the slot on panel T4 towards the top of the side panel and insert it into the corresponding pins. For this step, insert 2 cross dowels into the holes on panel T5 and insert it into the corresponding pin. Next, insert 7 wood dowels and 1 metal cross dowel into the top left side panel as shown here. After that, place the left side panel over the top look underneath and align the pins on the side panel with the holes on the cross panels until all the pins are in the correct holes. Next, secure the left panel using one 60mm bolt as shown here. You can now insert the monitor plexiglass into the two slots on the side panels. Insert the top of the plexiglass between the two panels at the top. When installed correctly, there should be no flop. We will now join the two halves of the cabinet. First, lay the base section down on its side, then align the dowel holes on the top section with the dowels on the base section and join the two together. Next, secure the two halves by inserting two 60mm bolts into the cutouts on the base side panels. Make sure that the cross dowels on the top side panels are properly aligned so that the bolts can catch properly. Tighten the bolts using the provided Allen wrench. Quick tip: while not necessary, using a ratchet will make this process easier. You can find a link to the ratchet shown here in the video description. Don't forget to insert the second bolts in the opposite side. We will now rotate the cabinet to its upright position. Quick tip: while sturdy, be mindful that the top section does not have any bolts holding it together on the right side of the cabinet. To rotate, place your left hand towards the bottom of the top section as shown here and support the base with your right hand. Then, lift the cabinet. Next, we will install the light for the marquee. Place an adhesive dot on each end of the light tube, stick the light tube to panel T5, then pass the wire through the hole. Next, to install the marquee artwork, slide it into the slots as shown here. After that, install 4 cross dowels into the holes on panel T6. Then, while holding it at an angle, align the slot with the marquee and drop it into place. To secure panel T6, use two 60mm bolts on the left side and 3 60mm bolts on the right side of the cabinet. To install the speaker grills, separate the grills from the plastic rings. Screw the rings into the pilot holes using the provided screws, then reinstall the grills on the rings. Quick tip: if installing speakers, place the speakers over the plastic rings and screw both together into the cabinet. For this next step, we will be assembling the TV mounting bracket. First, insert 4 wood dowels into panel T7 as shown here. Then, insert a cross dowel into each of the T8 panels. After, face the cross dowels on the T8 panels towards the inside of the T7 panel. Align the holes with the wood dowels and drop both T8 panels into place. Make sure that the longer sides of the T8 panels are facing in the same direction. Finally, flip the bracket over and secure both T8 panels using two 60mm bolts. You can now install the TV bracket on your monitor. To do this, install any necessary cables for your monitor, then align the mounting holes on your monitor with the slots on the TV mounting bracket. Make sure that the longer sides of the TV bracket side panels are facing towards the top of your monitor. Finally, secure the bracket to your monitor using the provided screws and washers. We will now install a monitor bezel to cover any gaps around the monitor. To install the bezel, first bend it along the scored lines to separate the two pieces. After that, face the matte side of the bezel towards the front of the cabinet and slide it into the same slots as the monitor plexiglass. We recommend starting on the lower left corner, followed by the top left corner. Once the left side is in place, repeat the same steps on the right side. Then, move on to the top side of the bezel. Work the bezel all around until it is fully secured. We will now install the previously assembled monitor and TV mounting bracket. To do this, slide the bracket into the cabinet, making sure that the longer sides of the TV bracket are facing towards the top. Then, align the slots on the bracket with the threaded inserts on the cabinet side panels. Finally, secure the bracket in place using the TV bracket bolts. Note that these bolts may be black or silver. Next, adjust the position of your monitor so that it is properly aligned with the bezel. In this example, we will adjust the monitor by loosening the 4 monitor bolts to move it upwards. Once in place, we will retighten the bolts. Once the vertical position is adjusted, push the TV bracket towards the front of the cabinet so that your monitor is flush against the bezel. Finally, tighten the 4 TV bracket bolts. We will now install the accessory shelf. To do this, install 4 wood dowels at the desired height, and then drop the B6 shelf panel into place. For this step, lay down the cabinet doors with the pilot holes facing upwards. Notice that each door has 2 pilot holes on each corner that are facing towards the outside, and an additional 2 pilot holes towards the top of each door that are facing each other. We will start by installing the 2 catches for the push to open mechanism. When installing the catch on the left door, make sure that the opening on the catch is facing right, and when installing it on the right door, make sure that the opening is facing left. In other words, they should be facing each other. Use the 4 provided screws to secure them in place. This is what they should look like once properly installed. Next, we will install 1 hinge on the bottom of each door using 2 black screws per hinge. Next, while holding the door at an angle, insert the previously installed pivot hinge into the frontmost hole on panel B5 on the base of the cabinet. You can now install the top pivot hinge on the door. Insert the hinge into the hole on panel B2 as shown and secure it to the door using 2 hinge screws. Once done, repeat the process on the other door. To test the doors, make sure that the latches are in the open position. If needed, adjust the front to back position of the latches as mentioned earlier in the video. After confirming that the doors are working properly, you can use the included nails to further secure the latches in place. Next, install 4 wood dowels into the holes closest to the center on the top of the cabinet. For this step, we will be installing your pre-assembled Xtension controller. To do this, drop the cables into the cabinet and angle the controller as you insert it into the dowel pins to avoid damaging the cable connections on the back. Once in place, push down until flush. Finally, secure the controller to the cabinet using the 4 large head 60mm bolts. Congratulations! You have just assembled your Xtension sit-down cabinet. And now, it's time to play.